There is no intro because Steven just left.
Perfect.
Up and left right at the beginning. So that's our intro.
I lost Garf's visual again.
Oh, God.
Doesn't matter. That's just... maybe it's distracting anyway.
No, perhaps it's a good thing.
You're just missing the kitty carnival in the background.
I hear that.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute that.
Well, yeah. Let's who wants the intro?
I'll do it.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Welcome to
the FPL Roundtable. My name is Casey, and I am at FPL Tornado. I'm here with Gabe at FPL Lens and Garf at FPL Shark. And we are going to do a roundtable today minus Steven, who is, I guess, running a cross-country meet at this point. So, or his son is, but I think he might be running one too to get there. He was running a little late. But today we're just going to kind of wing it. We're going to talk a little FPL. We're going to talk a little social justice. It's going to be pretty nice. We're going to learn some things today and maybe even to get some green arrows out as a result. So welcome, guys. How are you doing?
This is Gabe here at FPL Lens, and it's been a very interesting week of I'm feeling important challenges in FPL and in life. In FPL, coming off of one of my best weeks, I guess my best week since game week 1. Captaincy fail again, so to have such a strong week with a captaincy fail, I think actually bodes pretty well for my team. So I looking at an 81 all out. I went in a 4-4-2. Started Lundstrom and Soyuncu. I've started Lundstrom, I think, every week since game week 2, maybe something like that. We spoke about this. Is something we spoke about at the beginning of the season here. About kind of avoiding prices. Last year, I started Wan-Bissaka from the beginning of the season, and this year I've been playing Lundstrom all the time. So Soyuncu as well coming through. No way I was going to bench him with that matchup. Mount got me. The one little point, he hit the crossbar. He was involved. I feel I'm conflicted with Mount. I wish I would have made the early transfer, taking a hit to go to Pulisic. I think Pulisic is really starting to come through as a better option there. However, that being said, Mount was bought at 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", whenever anyone bought him. And the returns that he's still continuing to come up with are great value. Sterling obviously fail, De Bruyne fail because they were two obvious picks, I guess. Mane, Abraham, and Vardy all coming in with the bits and leading to an 81. So decent week, up to 375K, and here we are.
Nice.
Garf?
Well, our resident FPL genius,
yes.
Garf. Tell us how your season's going, how you're rocketing into the upper echelons of FPL.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a good season so far, like up to 110K. So we're flying there. And Gabe's left, and now he's come back again. Gabe just in and out, just so yeah,
Clockwork Orange style, the old in out.
So it was a good, a surprising week. Nothing from my midfield, but Sir John of Lundstrom came in for Pepe. Yes, I own Pepe, and he didn't play at all. So he started, came off the bench, got 21 points. So I feel like I cheated a little bit there. But it's a good result. 80 points in the end, taking me up to 110,000. Feeling good about it. I'll get rid of Pepe this week for, I don't know, Son or Ali or Martial or Pulisic or whoever I decide. Seems to be par for the course at the moment. I'll leave Mount in because I think he trained today. We're recording on the 7th of November. Thursday evening, so he trained today. Probably just light training, so he'll be fine for the weekend, I imagine. But no, FPL's. I've kept Vardy and I've kept Tillman since game week 1, and now I look like I'm ahead of the curve and I'm some sort of genius. But I'd love to break into that top 100 and just kick on now and probably just go on and win it from here. I always like to be chasing. I never want to be out in front. So, yeah, I'd just rather chase. Probably pretty much what Steven's doing now with his kid as he runs around the countryside in some sort of cross-country marathon. That probably sums up but everyone's FPL, just running around in circles, cross-country, trying to finish. But
getting to the race late and playing catch-up.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it's been good, mate. I can't argue with it. I'm enjoying it at the moment.
Can we mention an important identifier for our pod, that the genius of our pod has Pepe?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, you can.
Yeah, I mean,
go with that.
That says everything.
Just that's this FPL season in a nutshell, basically.
Yeah, for sure. But that the same genius as I'm carrying 2 premium strikers in Aguero and Vardy, and have done for the whole season. So there's a little bit. I never went big at the back. I haven't owned a Liverpool attacker yet. Just playing it different, right? Just there's many ways to skin a cat. Is a famous old English saying. I don't particularly like that saying.
Is it English?
I don't know. Well, I've only heard my nan say it. So and she, So yeah.
Did you often do that in England?
Well, they must have done it at some point. I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know. It's just one of those sayings.
Socks? Make socks? Oh.
Yeah.
Just weird. Just a weird English saying. So there's many. But yeah, no, all good. All good in the FPL world. I've just obviously I didn't pick the right captain. My captain did score, but I didn't pick the right one. So.
Oh, you picked the right captain compared to me.
Yes, mate. Yeah.
It's all relative. It's all
relative, mate. It's all relative.
Yeah. I got a red arrow this week. That's not surprising. I've had about the worst, easily my worst. Well, no, it's not the worst start to my season, but it's definitely the most frustrating start to the season that I've had in FPL. I'm sitting around 1.1 million, and I feel like I'm just on the players about 1 week too late, and I don't know. My captaincy's failed about every single week. Just haven't had a great week yet. No big green arrow sort of weeks. I feel like I'm just missing 1 or 2 of those. And then I'd be fine. But it is what it is. I got 59 points. Did not get Soyuncu's points off the first bench spot. I kind of figured he would, just because I had a couple of injury doubts in my team. And so I just put him there, not too worried, thinking that I'd get him either way. But I didn't. And so that was frustrating.
I have a question for you, and I've been meaning to ask kind of all players that benched either Lundstrom or Soyuncu. Why? I'm looking at Tomori, right? Chelsea has the 5th worst defense in the league. Watford actually is underperforming all of their attacking stats, whereas Leicester has one of the best defenses in the league and also with a good fixture.
Yeah, I get that, but I started Tomori over Soyuncu because Watford is bad. I understand they're underperforming their statistics, but I had watched Watford a couple of times in the last few weeks, and honestly, I think it was the right decision. Still, I think it was a controversial penalty, which resulted in the only shot on goal for Watford that scored them the goal in the 80th minute. It was the right decision to play Tomori over Soyuncu, I think, and I still believe that to be the case. But I was unlucky because I kind of thought that Trent, who had gotten knocked or had a virus, might miss out, and that it wouldn't really matter in the end. So it was truly just a decision of Tomori over Soyuncu, and And
there are reasons for both, for sure.
And Palace has actually been, although they have not been prolific, they hadn't been shut out yet. So,
yeah, that's true.
They were 10 for 10 in scoring goals in games this year. And I just thought, well, they'll probably get one. I mean, probably no more than one, but it was a little bit unlucky. So I'm not too worried about it. It could have been a really good green arrow. And so I think my team's in good shape, but just not getting the actual points to go with it.
And that's fair. And I benched Lundstrom because I had Robertson, Tomori, and Rico.
I started Lundstrom.
Yes. As he says that, he realizes the error of his ways. He's like, what have I done?
Rico.
It's really too bad our podcast listeners, if there are any, couldn't see Garf's face right there.
This is how Garf has been scoring points all season. He's like, I don't know. This seems like an okay decision, and then it's just haul after haul after haul. And
but it's not bad. Here's Garf. He's like, okay, this is what everyone else is doing. All right, I'll pick this nugget out of what everyone else is doing, Mount, and then I'll do my own fucking thing for everything else, and it'll all work out. And it has been.
It'll be fun. He's got it going this week. He's feeling it. As they say, he's in a groove. He's feeling it. And so what? So what if it doesn't quite? I mean, the logic isn't terrible, but it's slightly off of what most people are doing, and it's just working.
If Garf were to write an FPL book, it would be entitled FPL. It'll be fine.
Well, it'll be fun. And
the Ander Herrera story.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing, like, it's funny you say that. Like, I'm probably gonna have the same face when we talk next week, and Ali scored 9 points, and I'm like, okay, Pep to Ali was a good shout because why not? And it was just like crazy
season.
like that.
It wasn't going so well. You had the same face last season.
Yeah, I know.
It's
swings and roundabouts.
Well, you're not.
It's like Westworld for you.
You're not taking a bunch of wild hits though. I think last year it wasn't so much the picks you were making; it was just the fact that you were playing catch up a little too hard. You were trying to do too much. And this year you started out from a good position, and you don't have to take a bunch of wild hits to do a bunch of crazy, -8s. You're cutting back on those, but you're still keeping the same decision making. Sure. It's just fewer transfers in general, and I think it's working out for you.
Absolutely, and I think when you look at the overall rank, the range between the players, is minimal. So you take a -4, and before a ball's kicked, you could have dropped 40,000 places. Or
more, especially if you're further down. That's like 200,000 places where I am.
For sure, and I think it's all well and good taking hits, and I understand the logic behind it, and yes, it works, but I just don't your team shouldn't be in a position where you have to take two or three transfers every week. You're just churning over players, and you've got no longevity of how far you're looking ahead. If you're doing that, I'm looking ahead now in this time frame for players that are going to see me through until Christmas. Yeah, it probably won't work because of injury and what have you, but there's some teams with some good runs right up until Christmas. You look at it and you think, do you know what? If I put him in, if there's another fire to put out, that's fine. He can stay there, and I can put this fire out. And I've just tried to play the long game a little bit more, a little bit further out. And we probably had a discussion about game week 5 or 6 where we had the same conversation about Christmas with regards to the fixture pile up and what have you. And now I'm starting to look at it. Now we're in week 11 and 12, and we're in the middle of November. Christmas is just around the corner. Liverpool are going to hit a spot where they don't play in game week 18, I think. So yeah,
that's what I'm saving my wild card for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might actually just try to slowly, once we get close to that, maybe over 2 weeks, transfer out a couple of Liverpool players. use that money and try to use that week to just fly, and then use my wild card right after it to get him back in.
It's interesting if you're still holding your wild card to kind of target that festive period to take care to either deal or like be strategic about those
the other thing is I'll
situations.
probably have other issues in my team by then. It's
Right,
not just that, but I'll be able to use that to have money and fix some problems, and then
right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll inevitably get some things wrong, right, about the festive period, and we'll need to make adjustments. So I think that's the value of holding the wild card until like this period. I think it's really astute to do that. I'm not, well, and actually I'll take this opportunity to shamelessly plug Garf's new podcast. As I expressed on the community Shark Bites with Garf here, check it out at FPL Shark, of course.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, it's using like being almost like seeing those where like we're not going to get everything right. I'm a person that's super impulsive, so I'm and impatient and forgetful, like I said on Garth's podcast. So I use my wild card like game week 4 or something like that. First international break, I didn't need to use it. I haven't checked if it's worked out, which probably means that it hasn't, just because I haven't had an inclination to look. But those that have been patient, I think this is right now is where you can really maximize the value of having that attribute in your personality of patience, which I don't have. So I jumped on price rises and I gained a ton of money when I used my wild card. I think I gained like over 1 million in total value. So I think I gained like 0.6 or 0.7 in buying power. But those that waited will now be able to gain in strategic advantage going into a very congested period. So I think, that's a really, really good call, and something people should be looking to. To add to that, Garf also asked me on the podcast what I was going to do with my bench, and that really kind of transformed the way I was thinking about my team, and I'm really appreciative for that, because now I'm looking at my team and I'm not kind of like just desperate to chop and change, and I'm looking more strategically. So now my transfers are more long term and saving some money to bring in some quality and interesting differential bench players with those December fixtures in mind.
For sure, and I think most of us, if not, I'd probably say 80% of the community have probably got either 2 or 3 Liverpool players. So when we hit that spot where they do have a blank, you've got to have 3 playing, or at least 2 playing substitutes come off your bench, unless you're going to burn a couple of free transfers or what
free
have you.
Hit. It might actually be an okay
free
time
hit
to free hit, because we won't have as many double and blank game weeks this year that are giant. So it might not be a bad time to free hit.
Just makes me really nervous. That's a long time until the end of the season.
Yeah, but you'll still have your second wild card coming up too.
Yeah,
after
that's
that.
true.
This happens before your second wild card.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Certainly, the Christmas period throws up some surprises for sure. So,
but I also think that we overestimate the Christmas period a little bit. I think one bench player that has a higher ceiling that can get you 3, 4, and anywhere from 3 to 8 is good off the first bench. And second bench, a 2-point player. I don't remember ever using a third bench player.
I've had it once, I think.
Once in how many years, right?
Yeah, once.
And once in how many game weeks?
Yeah, right. Well, and it didn't come in the fixture pile up. It came in some random week where there was like a bunch of rotation for Champions League or something that you weren't really expecting, and then a couple of late injury scratches, and all of a sudden you're sitting at 10 players, even though you had 14 playing outfield players, and all of a sudden you had 4 miss out, down to 10. It's just
right. So I think one with upside and one with just this base floor So the first one with the upside, the second one with the base floor, and the third one, really, I think you can still go like dirt as dirt cheap as you can get, right? So if it's a defender, you're looking at some kind of playing 4-2 or 4-3. If it's a midfielder, you can go for like a 4-4. And up top, you can go for Connolly or someone like that as your second sub or second or third sub, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my favorite first bench is a 4-5 defender, or maybe having 2 4-5 defenders that.
Wait, so you drew last week?
Well, kind of like that. So in my perfect team, I would have 2 4-5 defenders. I would have 2 4-5 defenders that both play, and I like to have a lot of money in my starting defenders. And so I like to have set and forget defenders like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and this year Lundstrom might be one of those. So like Lundstrom, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and maybe Robertson if you doubled up on the Liverpool defense. And then you could have like Tomori and Soyuncu and rotate them first spot, bench spot, second bench spot. And so you have a high ceiling, maybe in a bad defense and a good fixture as your first sub. And then you have a bad defense and a bad fixture as your second sub. So there it is. Wow. There's your 6-point upside first sub, and then your 2-pointer second sub right there for you. Mm-hmm. So, especially when you have players like Sterling and KDB that might get just rested. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to need that first bench slot quite a bit. So, and that's what you want to do for the Christmas period too. It's the same idea. You just want to treat every player in your team like they're a Sterling.
Hopefully a bit better than Sterling.
Wow. He's been fine this year. He could have had 7. I mean, I think he tops XA, the XA stats for everyone, and he's got 1 assist.
He's bizarre. And he passes the eye test every single game.
Yeah. You watch him and you think it's like watching Trent. It's like
I'm not getting rid of him.
How does he not have 2 20-point hauls at this point?
Totally.
It is. I mean, it'll happen, and those will be the weeks that you fly.
Speaking of kind of Sterling is synonymous with the rest of your team, Casey, you got a message on Twitter this week saying that synonymous is meaningless.
Yes, well,
to abruptly transition to social justice here.
We do have a non-FPL topic that we want to talk about, and I want to intro this by saying, as a scientist, one thing that I've learned over the years is that you trust experts, and so you can't be an expert on everything. What you need to do is find someone who is an expert on that topic and listen to them. And that's the easiest way in science for you to get things done. And it's really something that everyone in life should kind of take care of, take to heart. It's kind of like people calling out, for example, climate scientists and throwing out bogus things like they know more than someone who's spent their entire life studying something because they saw something on the internet that they consumed in 5 seconds. So, with that said, I think we should listen to our resident social justice and similar topics expert, Gabe, who actually teaches this at a university. He might know a little bit more than most people about this topic, and so I think it's time to trust the expert.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and my wife is a scientist, so that message very much resonates with me. Before I get into this, because I'm also a red-blooded, hot-blooded human being, and I have like emotions and reactions to shit, right? I just want to express that my views that are my own. They don't necessarily represent the view of the pod in general, and they certainly don't represent the views of any associations any of the people that I mentioned may have with any of the other people on the podcast. So please don't take anything I say beyond me, I guess. Just bring it all back to me. So I'm not going to go into like this whole backstory of sexism and misogyny expressed towards Holly, that FPL community. You can see this isn't a segment about beef, right? That's not what we're talking about here. That's not my intent. You can see the Plunker, the Fantasy Plunker podcast for that, which is a truly like, yeah.
He started panicking then. He thought, shit, we've nicked a section off him. He thought just then when you said beef, he thought we'd stolen a section off him.
Absolutely
but
not.
We haven't. It's still yours, Plunker.
No, it's still yours, Plunker. We don't want it. And to be perfectly honest, I say this with a little bit of trepidation. I'm actually a little bit what can I say? Like I'm grateful that the Plonker is taking that on a little bit. I'm sure he's learning from it, but I think we should address the strife and division in our community. And it like very much like VAR. I think maybe Plonker is finding out the best implementation so that the impact of what he's doing with his beef is one of unison for our FPL community. Much in the same way, I'm trying to do the same thing here, but I also have to take issue with the way certain people on Twitter, certain members of we're all members of the same community. These are members of our community. It just engage with it's just a small, certain loud few that engage with a growing and increasingly diverse community. This all stemmed from a post that I put on Twitter when addressing the whole situation of some people calling Holly out for not producing her own content. And my comment was very much an academic one. My comment was that, and this is kind of the lesson that I hope our listeners can really take from this is, look, there cannot sexism, just very much like racism. So, but in this case, it's sexism. Cannot be inflicted upon dominant groups, because sexism and racism are kind of like models of systemic oppression. They aren't individual prejudice or bias, and that's the line that I've been trying to draw. While it has the same roots, I'm not going to deny that. If a woman is prejudiced against men, that's not sexism, because there are no historical roots, because females are not dominant groups. Much like or any other gender in the gender spectrum, they're not dominant groups. The males are the dominant group. So when we take it to race, I think it becomes a little bit more clear. And there are more examples. Well, in gender, there are examples as well. But I'm going to take it to race. White people of Caucasian background, people, you cannot be racist against white people, because white people are the dominant group currently and historically. So here's an example. Here's why this very counterintuitive kind of language makes sense. And it's also like, this is a very quickly evolving language, and I think we all need to have some understanding that not everybody has exposure to these concepts. So they may see it, they may listen to this, and the reaction could be a negative reaction, could be that it doesn't make sense. But so why can we only be racist to people of color, to oppressed groups? Well, here's why. If you think of all of the systems in society that have been created, so for example, just to give an example of that broad concept, right? In the United States in the 1920s, right? There was a strong like inner city manufacturing community. In the 1920s, those factories and those jobs went to the suburbs. They moved out of the cities and into the suburbs. And then the government provided homeownership programs for white people to move to the suburbs where the jobs went, leaving people of color in the inner cities with no access to loans to buy these new homes, right? So this is just something systemic in our society that have kept people of color in impoverished and oppressed for generations. So when we get policies like affirmative action, right? If you look at affirmative action in a vacuum, it favors people of color. That does not mean it is a racist policy. It is actually combating systemic racism by favoring, by like kind of tilting the needle further back in the other direction. So if the needle is tilted all the way to one side, in order to get it back to the middle, you can't bring the needle back to the middle. You have to tilt the needle back way to the other side and favor those oppressed communities a little bit more, and then you can roll those back and then kind of try to reach a happy medium. The thing is, I understand why this group on Twitter did not, or even groups in general, not just this group on Twitter, why people don't understand this, right? Because it is counterintuitive, and it is, it's new. This is evolution in our consciousness, and in our in our the way we deal with one another. So in an effort to bring the community together, I saw like that there was an argument on Twitter. There was an argument on Twitter, right? And I tried to clarify the argument by bringing this information in, and this is where things get a little spicy, I guess. I'll just read to you like, so all I got from a certain very loud I guess faction that was offended by this kind of idea, the way they chose to engage with me. And it's not just with me. They've engaged with Holly this way. They've engaged with so many people on Twitter this way. I was called a racist for kind of delineating that. I was called wrong, stupid, dumb, thick. What else was I called? Are you thick in the head? Are you stupid? This is getting fucking ridiculous. What else? So basically, the point is, if these concepts are foreign to you, and just to this is, I'm talking about at Stu Lord. I'm talking about at FPL_finesse, at FPL_FC, who's had problems in the past. These are all people that have come out, and rather than engage in a conversation and ask questions about some of these ideas and why these things may be offensive, and they're actually offensive, and I'll get to this in a second, on a cellular level, they've come out attacking me. So I think that says a lot of things about these players. At FPL Drew, at FPL Player as well, I'm going to throw in there. Sorry, at Drew FPL, at FPL Player _. I'm going to throw them in there as well. And at one Tom Moriarty, who has a really weird profile pic that indicates equality and inclusion, but his comments don't indicate that. This is a call to all of you that rather than engaging with insults, engage with genuine curiosity. We're all human beings. We all have feelings. We're all people. If you can engage with a little bit of compassion, we're happy to explain these things. Nobody's accusing anybody of anything here, except for these people that I mentioned accusing. At FPL Justin, at FPL Wildcards, Andy as well. I mean, the list keeps coming. Like, imagine having a day where you have about a dozen people just hurling insults at you because you tried to provide some information that isn't readily available to all. Just imagine starting your day like that.
I mean, you see it in the political sphere and all these other things before. Instead of engaging on the topic at hand or engaging in some sort of dialogue or discourse, or even presenting a counter argument. It's not even insulting a person is not a counter argument.
So
Counter
that's
argument,
actually
that's the problem we're seeing here.
yeah, so my degree is in philosophy, and when you insult a person rather than insulting their argument, it's a logical fallacy. You learn about this. It's ad hominem argument, right? Or straw man fallacy, right? You attacking the person rather than attacking the idea. But also beyond that, why attack an idea just before you know about it? Why not? It's I had a boss one time that told me it's a lot easier to ask questions than to ask for forgiveness. Just to ask questions. That's all people want. People want to be understood. And I have to tip my hat to a this is a relatively new account, joined in October 2019. It's at FPL Say No to Racism. Again, maybe this person's also learning about how best to deliver a message, as am I, as are we all. But this person has put themselves out there, has asked people to include hashtag Say No to Racism, and that they've dedicated themselves to a cause, which is a good cause. Let's support people like that. Like I had my biggest disappointment with this whole encounter this week was not these kind of this like loud right-wing faction of the FPL community taking issue with this maybe nuanced understanding of sexism and racism. My biggest disappointment was accounts that I interact with on a regular basis and that I consider really my FPL community friends, liking tweets that just flat out calling me, like insulting me, calling me dumb and stupid. And I just think we can do so much better. I really do. Casey got involved a little bit, tried to clarify some things, and he did it really well. None of us are engaging in any kind of insults or vitriol. And then this group of people, I think this is kind of like a call to them to meet us in a conversation, and also a call to the FPL community to just be less reactive and more understanding and compassionate, and know that we all have feelings. We all feel shit, but we don't know what each one of us is feeling. So talk. Don't fucking throw darts at people. There's no need for that. That's all. That's my soapbox for the week. I won't lie. It did affect me. And I do feel like it's affecting our community. And I would just like to improve it and find that there's a place for everyone's voice here, as long as the voices are respectful.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just disappointing. There's little need for it. No one's going to get anything out of it, and I didn't step up. I didn't get involved. That's not my intelligence. That's not where I am. But I read it and I absorbed it and I took it in, and there's a sense of disbelief there. You just think, to what end? What are you trying to achieve in like you say, throwing darts, and what's the point?
Yeah.
I just couldn't get my head around what the point was. What is the fundamental reason that anything like that would even start? And I couldn't come up with an answer. I just don't know. And so it's it's disappointing. And like you say, it's just, we're far more intelligent than that as a human race, I'd like to say, and and people are people, and nobody sets out to do anyone any harm, especially when we're playing a game in a community such as ours. If somebody's been successful, we should applaud it. If somebody needs help in talking to someone, then we should be there. it just doesn't make any sense to me why we go out and bash each other. We should be supporting each other, but different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah, and there's room for everything. There's room for every kind of opinion. There really is. It's just up to us, I guess. So that's it.
Well
That's my little philosophical PSA for the week. Onward.
Captain Gabe this week.
It might take some heat.
To be fair, Captain in Gabe will get you more points than Captain in Sterling this week. Just the heads up.
Is that a backhanded compliment? Is it is a fuck you, thank you in order? Like, well, what's the proper response to something like that?
Nothing, mate. Nothing. No response required.
Okay. Less is more. Yes. Well, and then so on the flip side, right? I had some great interaction with Fumni Analytics. They have a really like a funky little style to their website and all of that. And we were examining. I was looking at 7 million, the price point of 7 million, which. There's a lot of talk around the 6 million price point. There's a lot of options there, but the 7 million I find really interesting because you get players like TAA, Robbo, right? You get Pulisic in there, and Martial, I guess, is a little more. Is he 7'6"?
7.5, 7'6".
7.5. So maybe a little more, but you also get Jimenez in there, right? So Trent, Robbo, Pulisic, Jimenez. I don't know if you want to throw if somebody's being, Madison for sure. So if someone's being, to use your lexicon here, Garf, a little cheeky, Zaha. Could Zaha be a consideration with our improved fixtures coming up? So I think it's a little bit of it's a talking point that we hear very much in isolation of the players. We hear a lot of people talking about Trent. We hear a lot of people talking about Robertson and Pulisic and Jimenez and Madison and Zaha. But comparing all of these, and you can only fit so many in your squad, can we talk about maybe how you would rank them or how your team structure would dictate your ranking of these players maybe?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think a lot of the 7 million players are providing much better value than the premiums this year. And maybe not as much, maybe not more value than the cheap players, but certainly more points than the cheap players. So
consistency.
It seems like they're pretty consistent. I mean, there's some good players in that bracket. I mean, we talked about Pulisic. If he got the minutes, I think he would be in everyone's team right now if we could guarantee the minutes. And then obviously both the fullbacks of Liverpool are going to probably pull in 180 points or more this year, which is really what you'd expect out of a 9 million midfielder, but they're getting it for a 7 million defender. So, I think there's a lot of good players like that out there. And I don't know about ranking them individually. I think you want to have spots in your team for these players. It's just how many spots do you want to be? Because I think you could play the fixtures too. You could very easily say, okay, well, I'm going to get Madison for this run of 6 or 7 good fixtures, and then switch over to Martial for a good run of fixtures, and then switch over to, Pulisic for a run of fixtures or something like that. Or double on Liverpool's defense for this run of fixtures coming up. I think you can just play around with the spots. It's just my question to you would be, how many would you have? Because I think they're all really good players, and as far as how do you rank them? I think a lot of that just has to do with the fixtures of their teams.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I look at them and I want 4 of them, but I can't have 4 of them.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about getting about 4 of them right now by selling Salah. So, I mean, that's kind of my question is do you want to keep that spot in your team and just go like Salah to Mane, or would you rather go down to? You could go Salah to Pulisic, and then a 4-5 mid to Madison, and still have enough money to go from a 4-5 defender to Robertson. So you could get 7 million players for the price of Salah, basically.
The kicker being is obviously you as a manager, not just you and you guys.
The general you.
The general you. How much gumption do you have to take out Salah, go down to Madison? Right. You are not keeping any money in your bank, and you're going to distribute. And then, God forbid, if anything happened to Maddo, he got injured. Now you've got a problem because you've got to go up, and now you're burning more than one transfer to do it. Now I'm not advocating for any stretch of the imagination just keeping 12 million sat there if it's not doing anything, right? But there is theory behind it. Like if you have Salah or Mane, and they've got a decent run of fixtures coming up here, you could quite happily set and forget them until January the 2nd. Even past that, you could set and forget until Saturday the 21st of March if you really wanted to, because in that time they only play Leicester, Tottenham and Man United of any note. And then it's always there of just in case.
Well, that's really the big game theory thing here is a lot of people have Sterling and Salah, Mane, someone like that. Is it worth it to say only have one in that price bracket and then go with all of these 7-5 because you're going to get more bang for your buck out of your entire team for that? But then you still could move to the hot one. You could still move from Sterling to Mane for this upcoming run of fixtures and have that premium Liverpool attacker or something like that. A lot of people are in that scenario where they have both. So it's not like you're sacrificing Salah and not having a route back to Salah that's easy, because you have an easy route back to Salah from Sterling, for example, if you were to downgrade him. So now the Madison getting injured thing is a whole different scenario, but it's not that hard to go Madison to Tielemans or go Madison to a 6 million midfielder that has a good run of fixtures. Let's say, maybe at that point, maybe Villa have a good run of fixtures and you just go Madison to Grealish or whoever. Yeah, it's Gineppo at Southampton. So, I mean, it's not that difficult. And now it would be going Madison to Salah. That would be the really tough one. But Madison to another viable replacement's not that hard.
No, not that hard. And I think if you have two, then it's easy, right? If you just have one,
you want to keep one premium mid, I think. Yeah.
I would move that laterally all day long just to suit fixtures. Mane to Sterling to back to Mane, back to Salah, because that's just the way I play. So when I look at my team, I've got a spine, if you want to call it that, of Robertson, Aguero, De Bruyne. So I can pretty much go anywhere I fancy. Like if I wanted to go Aguero down to a Banyamang, that gives me an extra $1 million to take De Bruyne up to. Well, it doesn't. Well, I've got a little bit in the bank as well, so that's cheating. But
there's nowhere up from De Bruyne. De Bruyne is the pinnacle.
But if De Bruyne got injured and you wanted to get Sterling back in, you could do it. It wouldn't be terrible. No. But a lot of people have either Mane or Salah, Sterling, and KDB. So they have 3 of those 4. I mean, do you really need 3 of those 4? Can you go KDB and maybe like KDB and Mane and drop the third one down to a 7-5 so you can get in 2 more 7-5s? I mean, you could basically get 3 7-5s for like I said, 3 7-5s for the price, or 3 7 million-ish assets for the price of 1 premium there. And basically go, instead of having 2 cheap players and Salah, you could all of a sudden have a premium defender and 2 mid-price midfielders just with that money.
Yeah, basically with 2 4-5s and Sterling, you could get. We're talking general here. I haven't done all of the math or the maths for those in England. I haven't done the singular or the plural in the math department. You could get Trent, Robbo, and Pulisic, or you could get like Trent, Robbo, and Jimenez for Sterling and a couple of 4-5s.
Yeah.
So, like when you're looking at the combination of your team,
it really comes down to captaincy, and all of a sudden people are looking at this and saying, "Well, I have De Bruyne. I'm going to have one of Mane or Sterling, and I'm going to have maybe Vardy." All of a sudden, you still have 3 captaincy options there. It's No,
I think that's fair, and I think you kind of nailed the kind of differentiator there, Casey, is captaincy, and that takes planning. Like look who you want to, plan that captaincy, and you can get away with something.
I mean, people are consistently captaining Abraham. Abraham's a captaincy option.
Totally.
And Vardy and KDB and a lot of these players under 10 million are actual captaincy options this year.
Well, I think Vardy is
Lundstrom every week triple captain. He's going to be my triple captain on a double game week.
I was this close to captain. No, I was.
There was 16 players that triple captain in Lundstrom last week.
That's amazing.
16.
I love it. I don't know if those were zombie teams or they were that was his cousin.
Must be his family. It's got to be his family.
It's amazing. I love it. It's great. I just think it's great.
I'm going to triple captain Mings this week.
But this is what we get back to in the community, and people get like mad at these players that triple captained or captain Lundstrom. It's like their success was not at your expense. Just applaud them for having
it kind of is.
Well,
but their success has
a tiny percent.
Their luck has nothing to do with your unluckiness.
Right, but okay. So even if those 16 players all jumped you, your rank went down 16 spots. There's not many people where 16 spots would make you make a big difference in your overall rank unless you're up in the top 100. So for most people it doesn't really affect them.
Yeah, no.
But people will get mad at people that do that instead of just being happy for them for having a once in a lifetime game week.
I live vicariously through it, and that's the best thing about the FPL community is living vicariously through all of the people that you meet that made the right decision instead of what you did. I was like, oh yes, you did this. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And then I feel that high a little bit, and I think that's what's drawn me more to the community.
Truly, the only ones that make me I don't get mad at anyone else, but the only ones that make me feel bad is when I'm on a 50-50 and I make the wrong out of that 50-50, and then it's hard to be happy for the people that made the other decision. But when someone makes a really good decision that you weren't even considering, like a differential captaincy, like on Vardy a couple weeks ago that people had when he had 20 points. Did you captain him? You owned him, but you didn't. Oh, you did captain him.
I did on what game week was it?
2 weeks ago. 9.
No. Tenny got 20. I captained him.
Oh, captain 10. Sorry.
I captained him the week before.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so that's not that good.
You still owned him, which is great. That's a good decision, but an epic decision of captaining him that week, which some people did. I don't know if it was like 1% or something, but You got to feel happy for those people. They had a great game week. Anyways, this is off topic, but I feel like
I captained Aguero that week. He got 1 point. Yeah,
that one feels bad.
But yeah, no, we'll
take that chair back.
He always scores against Arsenal,
hey,
right?
Garf, don't you have to go to the? Don't you?
I do, mate. I've got to go and see how clever my kids are with the parent teachers. Interviews.
Hopefully they're as smart as you.
Yeah, let's hope so. Jesus. So just a quick one from me. I've got to get rid of Pepe. So any answers on a postcard, please? I'm feeling Ali.
You do, you Garth.
I'm so hesitant to give you any advice Because it would take you away from what you would do.
I would say I really love the 7 million price bracket, and there are many good options there. And so maybe one of those, but whatever you're feeling,
Yeah, whatever my gut is. And by the way, it's an early deadline, so don't forget that.
And I just literally tomorrow.
Really early. I've just looked at Wolves' next few games there. Jimenez is a shout, right?
Yes.
If you 100%. Want to bring Jimenez in, I would seriously consider bringing him in now.
It's between Jimenez and Robertson. Those are the two
I honestly want Robertson, and I have TAA. I'm gonna find a way to get Robertson for game week 13.
Did I mention I brought in Robertson last week?
Yeah.
Just before he scored?
I tried to tell you. I'm glad you didn't listen to me. I tried to tell you to get Trent, although in the end it was only 1 point difference, so we're not going to get two, but, whatever. I think both. I honestly think people are like, Liverpool only kept 2 clean sheets. It's like, yeah, but like Robertson has like a goal and 3 assists, and Trent has like 5 assists. So, I mean, like if you have a midfielder that was 7 million that had 5 assists already, you'd probably keep him. So, I don't
know. I'm worried about Abraham as well, just throwing it out there. Something for you two to discuss when I leave.
Yeah.
Because
I'm worried too.
So but his fixtures are nice, so it's going to be difficult. But you can have a conversation about that. It's been awesome. Again, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Can't wait for your next shark bite.
Yes.
Shark
Bites. Tell us where we can find the Shark Bites, where everyone else can find them.
I started a new podcast, just a solo podcast, because I want to get stuck into the community and find out who I'm dealing with and who we're talking to, and find out a little bit about their personality. So Sharks FPL Community Sound Bites is what it's called. I post up there. I'll probably be doing about 2 a week, just a 15-minute quick off-the-cuff chat with various managers in and around the world. The inaugural one, the first one, was with you, Gabe, as you know. We had a great time with that. Great 15 minutes there. And then I recently just finished recording with FPL Lewis. So that will be going up on my Twitter feed there at FPL Shark relatively quickly. And then I've got another one this Sunday coming up as well. So the community's been really good, and the people I've spoke to and lined up are all for it. So hopefully we get something out of it, just a little bit fun. And I'm enjoying it so far. Thank you very much.
It was a great experience for me. It's a ton of fun, and it's weird because you get there is FPL insight there as you learn how other people play the game. But it's all cloaked in kind of just who we are. And so I highly recommend it for everybody. It was awesome to do that first one with you, Garf.
I love hearing about all the other people. It's going to be great. I just love hearing about, it's not just a Twitter avatar and some 180 character tweets. All of a sudden I get to know somebody.
Now you get to know someone. And Casey, I'll be coming after you in a week or so. So.
Yeah, cue the job.
Looking forward to that.
Yep.
Have a good evening, gentlemen.
All right.
See you soon. It's been awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Gabe. Do you just want to tell me what you're doing this week?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, why don't we start with the So we're going to be just for our listeners here. We're going to be a lot more involved in the. We're going to be promoting a lot like our league now that it's establish some kind of rhythm here, and we can discern some things from it. You want to start with our team?
Can we talk a little bit about how I'm terrible at this game, and I'm in basically last place of that league, and maybe I don't want to talk about that league?
Oh yes, yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm terrible at this game, and I think I'm easily bringing up the rear of our podcast group, although I think I'm only like a point behind like Steven or something. So he's also doing very poorly. But there are some really good podcasters that are starting to return to form, but I'm not one of them. So who is returning to form? Tell us a little bit about that, Gabe. Who are our best podcasters right now?
Let's see that our best podcasters right now. There we go. I brought up your team. Okay, our best podcasters right now is at that FPL podcast. S Blake. I still don't know his first name, but he's been on top of the league pretty much since like week 2 or 3. I think Brandon from the Always Cheating podcast started at number 1. Um, and Garf is where I used to be, number 2. Garf has 636 points. At that FPL podcast has 650 points after 11 game weeks. And if you notice, so this is a league of podcasts, right? So it's all people that feel that they have enough of an understanding of the game and enough of a connection with the community to create a podcast and put some content out there. And just
or neither like us. I mean, honestly.
Well, we embrace while those people are really striving. I think our motto is like, don't suck today.
Yeah. We literally do this podcast so we can talk to each other, and we know that we're not basically doing anything else.
And when I say our listeners, I'm really referring to just
there are like 5 listeners. We have to shout out the 5 listeners this week. We'll actually get your names, so please respond to our tweet if you've listened to this podcast, because we'll just, instead of shouting out Patreons, we're just gonna shout out our 5 listeners every week at the end of the podcast.
Totally. If you've made it this far, you can guarantee a shout out multiple times.
Yes, we guarantee that if you listen this far, respond to us or message us, we'll just shout you out because you're one of a kind and we cherish you.
you're a rare breed. And you're on
especially
the
start talking
special
about
bus.
social justice halfway through an FPL podcast. Dude, if you're still listening later, you're a hero.
Totally. If you survive that interjection, that rude interjection.
It's an important thing. And you know what? If you listen to FPL podcasts to learn a little bit more about inclusion and diversity, we are definitely that's our demographic. Let's put it that way.
Totally. This is the place to come.
Yeah,
this is definitely the place to come.
One-stop shop for both.
For sure. So, I mean, I look at your team, Casey. So to answer your question specifically here, and you have a very template team, if I may. But my sense is that you got on the template late. You're chasing the template. It's, those listeners that maybe have struggled with addiction in the past can relate to chasing the dragon. It's the same kind of thing in FPL. You'll never. So here's an analogy that's more family friendly. I coach, right? When I'm coaching kids and they start just chasing the ball everywhere, when on defense they have to like chase the ball, I say, okay, come here, line up here, stand right next to the ball. We're gonna see if you can chase the ball. We're gonna see who's faster. And the kid lines up, okay, ready, let's go. And I say, 1, on your marks, get set, go, and I'll kick the ball. And the kid will obviously never get to the ball. I think it's the same with FPL. I don't think you can chase a template. And if you're already behind the curve here, I think you need to try to, and this could work against you as well. Obviously, there's risk in trying to catch up to the pack, but I think you should try to anticipate trends. And the way to do that is through the fixtures. And we just mentioned several 7 million assets, right? I mean, is honestly, given the rise of Pulisic, whether people want to admit it or not, he's more and more a central point of that offense. Is a shift from like Mount and Connolly to Jimenez and somebody else.
Yeah.
Could be in the cards, or what you were saying is sell Sterling and spread the Sterling funds around. But the thing is, when Sterling hits, and he will, and his stats support that could be, and not necessarily so, but it could be dangerous for you because The problem with the 7 million assets is that they are less reliable.
Yeah.
So if they don't hit when Sterling does hit, that could be a problem.
Yeah. What I will say in my defense is that it wasn't a true chasing of the template. My team value is actually like almost 104 million. So
Wow.
so I've been on the players pretty early to get them cheap and get the price rises. But I've been about 1 week too late on every single one of them because I've tried to do it all with free transfers. And so because I've been trying to be disciplined and think, oh, I only have one problem or two problems and I know who I want to get, but I'm going to have to do it over 2 weeks. I've missed them their haul, and I get them on them 1 week too late. Even though I've identified good players, I just don't get them fast enough. Yeah. And the biggest problem with that is I had so much money in defense at the beginning of the year. I had 4 premium defenders to start the year, and it's so hard to move off of money in the defense to money in the attack because it requires 2 to 3 transfers. Yeah. And so that's been the maneuver problem I've had. I've been pretty good about anticipating the good players and knowing when their runs are coming up, but getting to them without using my wild card has probably been my downfall this year. So I think but the problem is that I've only identified like maybe 2 players at a time that I really want, and so I've never felt like I really wanted a wild card just to get in 2 players I really wanted. But then it was 2 players here, then 2 players there, then 2 players. And if I wasn't so busy trying to catch up to my 2 players that I wanted to get, I just wild carded to get even just 2 of those initially, then I could have at least been quicker to get on the next 2 and not just been playing catch up this whole time. So, my team value is really high, and I've done it without a wild card, and I have most of the players that I would consider to be. I think Essentials necessarily wrong, but I really like what Who Got the Assists uses as hygiene. I have most of the hygiene players, the ones where if you don't have them, I wouldn't say they're essential, but if you don't have them, you're probably going to get more red arrows than not, just because most people have them and they're good assets.
What the scout podcast would call the shields.
Yeah, the shields.
Yeah,
so I have,
sure.
I have Abraham, Mount, Vardy, Trent Alexander-Arnold, KDB, Salah, Sterling. I mean, I have a lot of really good players in my team. It's just getting on them 1 week too late, like with Vardy. Like I had identified Vardy as someone I wanted, but I wanted to give Callum Wilson the Watford match before I brought him in. So I literally was going to bring in Vardy no matter what this last week, and I did. But I could have just done it the week before for a hit, because I had the money to do it, just one more transfer. But because I was like, but I'll just do it one more week because, in isolation, it's not a bad fixture to throw out Callum Wilson versus Watford. So it's just those sort of things that have been my problem this year, and it just seems like it's a run of 11 straight weeks where that's my problem. I'm just missing it. It's like narrow misses every single week, and and because of that, it's been very frustrating. Like this last week, I would have had a really big green arrow had I just played Soyuncu, and you get those, but it just feels like every week I'm just that one thing. That's the difference between a bad or an average or bad week to a good week, and I just haven't gotten it yet. So, but I think there's because of my team value and because I have most of the players I want and my wild card, I feel like there's a chance for me to make a mid-season run. So I'm not despairing, but it is frustrating. There's no doubt about it. So, I mean, this week I'm debating Salah to Mane just because I love Mane. I think he's probably I've seen enough. I think over the second half of last year and beginning of this year, he plays more central, and Salah's had injury issues. It's just he's going to be better. But I also think maybe it's time just to go without a Liverpool attacker, use that money to go double Liverpool defense. Or I might eventually get a Liverpool attacker, but use the money right now to get 2 7 million mids and then get Robertson for Tomori, and have Robertson and TAA for their really good run of fixtures, double up on the high ceiling wingbacks. And I can always go Sterling to Mane if it just becomes something that is hygiene that needs to be done.
Right. I mean, I think for the upcoming fixtures, you need to have a Liverpool attacker.
Well, but double Liverpool wingbacks are attack. I mean, they get most of the assists in the team. They still are attackers.
Fair. I mean,
You're basically getting 3 points for every single one of the goals that are scored from one of the. If you own both of the fullbacks.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that much is true, but just think about the experience of FPL going through the following fixtures.
It's the
Palace,
it's
Brighton,
the people
Everton,
that'll be
Bournemouth.
captaining Mane. That's going to be the biggest problem.
Yeah, I mean, Palace, Brighton, Everton, Bournemouth, Watford, with no Mane and no Salah. I wouldn't advise that. I think one is absolutely necessary. I know nobody likes to say essential. But I don't know. I don't have such an aversion to the term. I think for this fixture period, an attacking Liverpool player is essential. And attacking like one of the goal scorers, let's say. So I think one of or both of Salah or Mane are essential. I'm keeping Sterling as a little bit of a placeholder. I have Mane at the moment, but if Mane and Salah are both like just tearing these easy fixtures up, I'll go Sterling to Salah for a little while just for those fixtures, and then come back to Sterling later.
I mean, TAA and Robertson have the same amount of assists as Mane and Salah. That's not bad. And they both have a goal too. I mean, both of them also have a goal.
One, yeah, versus several.
But they also have.
But
then they have clean. But they have clean sheet potential as well. They both have 2 clean sheets. So if you look
and the price and the price is the points per million will be significantly better than Salah and Mane unless you captain one of them.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key is captaining the Liverpool.
You look at it and you think, okay, well, Mane, who's obviously the premier attacking option, has 10 returns. TAA has 7 returns. That's not bad. And Robertson has.
How many times are you going to captain TAA?
Well, maybe I should start captaining him.
Right, but I mean, you won't. Like you just won't. No, nobody will really.
I probably should. I have my 5 at the backside. I probably just should start captaining TAA in that team.
That'd be interesting.
Because it doesn't hurt when he blanks because it's not my real team. It would be kind of an experiment. I don't know.
But I think you should identify some differentials and get on them before they begin to hit, rather than like a week later or something like that. And I think maybe that will see your rank go up.
I don't buy the differential. I really don't. I truly don't buy the differential because it's all about combined ownership of.
For sure. Yeah.
So, how many people actually, even without combined, or even though they're really highly owned players, how many people actually have both Abraham and Vardy? And how many people have both De Bruyne and Sterling? And how many people have Mount and TAA? It's just, it's these combinations. And so.
Sure. But it's how many people around your rank have those players.
Well, not very many at all. That's the problem.
Well, I don't really know, but the higher ranked you are, the more people probably own the players that you own.
The higher ranked you are, the harder it is to move in either direction, and it's all about your captaincy, really, in hitting your captaincy or the one differential you have. I don't know.
So on that front, who you got this week for your captain?
I don't know. It depends. I think if I went straight swap Salah to Mane, I'd captain Mane. But otherwise, I think I'll probably captain Vardy.
Yeah.
Just because of his consistency.
Yeah, and
he's returned in 3 straight matches. And 4 out of the last 5.
He's definitely in form. He's playing out of his mind. He seems to have just like
playing one of the worst defenses in the league.
Yes, no doubt. There will be goals in that game for sure. So you can't fault the Vardy pick at all. Yeah, who's your vice?
I don't know. I might.
Not
Might
that it
be
matters. Vardy plays
might be
90 every week.
Abraham. It might be Abraham. Might be Sterling. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Sterling is an actual shout this week because he's going to be up against Trent, and Trent has been destroyed by good left wingers this year. I mean, just absolutely destroyed. I mean, he got killed by Willems. I mean, Willems made him look bad. Imagine what Sterling's going to do.
I mean, Cam Willems. Willems makes everybody look bad. He has assists. He's 4-4. I can't wait to get Willems into my team.
He would be in my wild card team if I got him. I honestly don't know. It would be stupid managing to bring in to when he's back to go ahead and bring in who's out injured. Richie. Like, why would you put Richie? Well, exactly. Richie's not even a left back. He's a center midfielder that plays left back sometimes. So if Richie comes back, you could still play him. You just don't play him at left back.
Hey, Casey, I got to leave you for just a sec. I got to take a kind of like a surgery-esque tinkle. I'll be right back. All right. All right, I'm back. Sorry, that Ghost Mountain hazy India Pale Ale kind of rushed right through me there.
Yeah, this one's for Steven.
Yeah, exactly. That pisses for Steven. Miss you, Steven. So you want to get to our pod team?
We do this every week, you and me, and then we don't make a transfer. This is done like 3 weeks in a row.
I know. I mean, honestly,
just pull the trigger on whatever you want to do, dude.
Should I do that?
Yeah, get Jimenez.
All right.
You shouted him. I'm cool with it. Get Jimenez in for like Haller or whoever you want in that. Who do we have? We have two.
Yeah, we have Haller and Abraham.
Abraham was a good shot last week. I told you to do it. He double returned. So there you go.
Yeah, totally. It was exactly the right shout.
Holler to Jimenez. Boom. We're done.
Holler to
you called it. I'm cool. I wish I had him in my team, although I hate playing three strikers. I really hate it.
He's in there. We have one more transfer. We can
roll it. Keep rolling it. We'll need two transfers eventually. Yeah, we want to get in Liverpool players. We want to load up on Liverpool players.
We have three. We have Salah, Trent, and Van Dijk.
Oh, well, we want to get off of Van Dijk and get in like double attack or something like that next week.
Totally. All right, cool. Yeah, looking good. It's a team that's looking good. For me, where's my team here? I don't even know what I'm doing. I already did my transfer. I went Chambers to Rico. So after my conversation with Garf,
big money move right there.
I know, super exciting. Wait, hold on. Grab onto your seats because here's the explanation. Actually, after my conversation with Garf,
Chambers goal incoming.
Totally, he's gonna assist like freaking Kolasinac or something like that.
Oh, God.
So after my conversation with Garf at the end of his first pod, he asked me, what I'm going to do with my bench, and honestly, it was a brilliant question. My bench is Hanley, who's currently injured and not playing, Greenwood, whose price is dropping like adolescent testicles. Sorry, we got kids. Kids were walking in here. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. And who else do I have? I have Cantwell, who's losing his spot to Garf's favorite, Onel Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he gets minutes, but yeah, he's not someone you would want as your first bench player for sure.
No, and I think his minutes will be very limited. There will be a sea change with Cantwell very soon. So
maybe.
So
I mean, Arnel Hernandez started at the
hey.
beginning of the year, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and he was super.
They
prolific.
they started together. Cantwell started with Arnel Hernandez. Yeah, he did. Cantwell has started every single match this year, other than this last one where he was injured. He started along. Yeah, so some people are saying that they can play together. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what will happen to the Cantwell's positioning once Onel comes in.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. He has started since game week 1. So I got rid of Chambers and brought in Rico. I'm playing a 4-4-2 for this game week, but I have a kind of a longer term plan now in mind. I shared it with you with the roundtable here on Twitter. So yeah, I'm looking to get I got Rico in this week. Next week I will take a hit, and this is still very much up in the air because I realize the risk in doing this. My idea is to get rid of Mason Mount. Unfortunately, I will need to see this weekend, and I may not do that for a little while yet. I want to see how his role adapts given Pulisic's introduction into the starting lineup. But the idea is to go Cantwell, Hanley, and Mount to Robertson, Gineppo, and McGinn. And my comps here are really Robertson to Mount. Robertson with the upcoming fixtures, I think will outscore Mount. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, an attacking, obviously a Liverpool basically midfielder that gets points for clean, or the extra points for the clean sheets, has Palace away, Brighton at home, Everton at home, Bournemouth away, Watford at home. So 3 out of the next 5 are at home before they're blank in game week 18. I don't know what you think of those 3 transfers there.
I love them. Like I said, I was talking about I'd rather have double Liverpool wingbacks than wing back and an attacker. I think you probably want to have triple up, but if you had to have a double up, I'd rather have TAA and Robertson and say Sterling as opposed to Mane, Trent, and I don't know, Mendy or something like that. So.
Right. So yeah, it would be Hanley, which is a non-playing player, Cantwell, which is a decreasingly playing player, and Mount, which is a very productive player. For Robertson, who I expect to be extremely productive, Gineppo, who I test. For me, it's 100% I test. This player will bang every once in a while, and McGinn, who also comes with his returns every so often at 5.8. So that I'm looking next week. It'll be a double move for a -4, and then the week after will be the final move, and that's how I'm moving forward. I'm captaining Mane this week.
I like it. No, I mean I think it. I mean, who's going to start in goal for City?
Fernandinho.
Oh my god! Well, it was Kyle Walker the other day.
Walker.
No, I mean
but
obviously
I think they rotate. It's like every 10 minutes. Like, okay, keeper switch, and then someone else will go in there, and it's a pep roulette.
Can you do that? I've always wondered.
I don't know.
I've always wondered, like, can you just give someone else the goalkeeper shirt and just switch them? Like, if
Yeah, you can.
yeah, and it doesn't require substitution. You can do it whenever, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
I assume it'd be a stoppage of play. But let's say you had
Yeah.
like two players on the pitch and one was like better at defending corners as a keeper. Like, could you just be like, oh, we're gonna switch out the shirt for this corner, and then like, I mean, seriously, like, could you do that? Like, let's say that, like, okay, here's my thing. Ederson's a good shot stopper. He's good at playing with his feet, but he's really bad at every other aspect of being a goalkeeper. Right? He's not good at coming out, like, for example, defending corners, things like that. I mean, let's say Kyle Walker was actually legitimately good at it. Could you just like switch the shirts and be like, hey, Kyle Walker's going to go be the goalkeeper for the corners, and then the next stoppage of play, you switch him back? I mean, like, I wonder if you could do that.
I wonder how much time the referees would give you, the officials would give you to make that switch.
I don't know.
Or if it would be like,
the best ever
time switch.
No, wouldn't that be fucking amazing? Like, let's say that you're entering stoppage time, and like, you don't have substitutions left, but you're like, we're switching our goalkeepers here at a stop of play. Like, that would be amazing. That would be the most petty and amazing, like, time wasting I would ever like. It'd be cool.
I do that in my Sunday league. I swear to God, when I'm, we'll switch keepers. We'll do substitutions constantly. So yeah, it's shithousery.
It's great. That would be the best. Like, honest to God, if I were City and I were winning like 2-1 in stoppage time this weekend, I would just do that. I would just do that. Imagine. First of all, Liverpool fans are absolutely insane to begin with. Imagine their reaction if they time wasted by changing goalkeeper.
Even if you lost the lead, it'd be worth it.
Oh, it'd be so amazing.
All right, well, we've gone pretty long here.
There you go. Yeah, let's finish up here.
Yeah, we're at $1.22. So
yeah,
Casey, thank you so much for hosting, man. For filling in for Steven there. Got last minute daddy duty there.
Yeah, well, I tried to do as much time wasting and shithousery as possible, and it seemed good. So. You have a good game week, Gabe, and next week maybe I'll be in the top million with you.
I would bet that you will be there with all of us, Casey. I think the season. I think we're learning a lot about the season. I appreciate your support for equity and fair treatment and respect on Twitter. I hope that we get a good response from the public service announcements, and I hope that everybody's life is filled with a sea of green cheese. Little Primus reference there for you knuckleheads.
Perfect. With that, I think we should sign off.
All right. Peace, everybody. Have a good week.
See ya. All right.